Hello, everyone, and here we continue. My condition, yes, and everyone else that wants to pipe in with that. For the reputation of God, yes. Uh, let's just keep going. Just get going, yes. We are in the book of Ezekiel. I don't think I have too much more to go until we get to the New Testament. It's still a little ways, and I'm excited to get into the New Testament since the Old Testament has been such a disappointment. Well, it is what it is. And we are in 8, and the title is A Vision of the Sins of Jerusalem. And here we continue on. There is very little good, actually, or anything that's actually encouraging. It's just a continued disarray of God's people. And then in the way that God is being used. Yes? And abused, in my opinion. Here it comes. An interesting thing that I find going on all around the world, and I do believe it started with Christianity in the New Testament with Jesus' coming, is that steadily all around the world there has been a growing power of goodness among the people. And with that, a people has emerged that knows how to live a proper life, a life with dignity, with values, the proper morals. And yet, even in Christianity, again, just as it happened with the Israelites, things started to creep in little by little. Yes? And became acceptable. Not in a way that then you have to ostracize people. Rather, well, and as I have said just in recent videos, where you take a stance and say, I don't want to live like that. I am not going to tell you this is okay. And I have a story on that. And if I remember my give and take with a very young brother in our movement, I'll give that. If I remember, yes? And then, when True Parents came as the second coming, where a lot of people actually from Christianity, not only, but Christianity, realized the faith forward that came with that, and that foundation that Christianity built, then with that became even stronger with the divine principle and the presence of True Parents, and the rebirth. I like that. The rebirth of God's will and ideal. And as people became a part of that, that foundation became more solid. And now there is a generation out there of people that have this solid foundation. And I can clearly see the split going on. In the behavior, the values, the morals, right, from one people and another people. The ones that have attached themselves to the second coming of True Parents. And that includes True Parents, the change of lineage, the blessing, right? And then staying with that, building that connection with our heavenly parent. Yes, that's what the divine principle is all about. That is what first when Jesus came was all about. And then True Parents, where we had to have a couple where then also Adam started to restore with Jesus, and now Eve is restoring with true mother. It is what it is. People can believe that or not, but if you do some in-depth study, you know that then you will know that is true. And it amazes me that I can be a part of that. And I always thought, even as a child, what if I would have lived at the time of Jesus, right? And in a way, even that on my bucket list, right? Yes, I have become a part of this amazing happening here on earth to restore mankind. Just saying. And everyone that is a part of it should carry it proud in their hearts. Yeah. Anyway, so, but we have to keep taking a stance. Yes? And it isn't that we need to be in other people's lives. That people need to be attracted to us and say, wow, I love this. I love the guidance and the teachings that I'm getting. I want to learn more from those people and take it into my family. Yes? But we ourselves, we do not go and interject ourselves into the secular world. We don't do that. Because what we will bring back home with us, again, will infiltrate. Right? And so the presence of that is there too in our movement, but it's not going to win. It is not going to pollute that foundation built up over thousands of years now with good people who know what is right and what is wrong, people with a healthy heart to mind and conscience. Yes? Yeah. Anyway, so that's what I have to say here. A vision of the sins of Jerusalem. In the 6th year, on the 5th day of the 6th month, I was sitting at home, and the elders of Judah were sitting with me, when suddenly the hand of the Lord Yahweh fell on me there. Okay. I looked, and there was a form with the appearance of a human being. Downwards from what seemed to be the waist there was fire, and upwards from the waist there was a brilliance like the glitter of amber. Something like a hand was stretched out, and it took me by a lock of my hair. And the Spirit lifted me between heaven and earth, and in visions from God took me to Jerusalem, to the entrance of the inner north gate, where stands the idol that provokes jealousy. There was the glory of the God of Israel. It looked like when I had seen what I had seen in the valley. He said, Son of man, raise your eyes to the north. I find it interesting that the Son of Man keeps coming up, and I think that is a farce. I do not believe that if the vision is from Heavenly Parent, it would ever say the Son of Man. I don't believe that. I think that's a farce. This is something that is very interesting, but I do not acknowledge as being in the way that God would address one of his children. Raise your eyes to the north. I raised my eyes to the north, and there, to the north of the altar gate, stood the statue of jealousy at the entrance. He said, Son of man, do you see what they are doing? The monstrous, loathsome things that the house of Israel is practicing here, to drive me out of my sanctuary. And you will see practices more loathsome still. He next took me to the entrance to the court. I looked, there was a hole in the wall. He said, Son of man, bore through the wall. I bored through the wall until I had made an opening. Oh, the hole wasn't big enough to crawl through yet. Okay. He said, Go in and look at the loathsome things they are doing inside. I went in and looked, and there was every kind of reptile and repulsive animal, and all the foul idols of the house of Israel carved all around the walls. Hold on a minute. I do not dispute evolution because it did take a long time to create. Right? Just like a painting. You don't just go flip. Oh yeah, some people do that. And then it's supposed to be a painting, which no, that's not a painting. That's just a right? Yes. My youngest granddaughter is very good. She starts with a brush and she paints, and then it's a finger in the paint, and then it's her whole hand goes all in the paint, and then flip, 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 flip. Right? Yes. Anyway, let's keep going. So that's not a painting. Reptile and repulsive animals. Well, they were all created by our heavenly parent as well. So in the Bible, so they don't believe in God then. Why would God create an animal that's repulsive? So you don't like snakes? So you don't like spiders? Well, they all have their ecological place here on earth for a good reason. Yes? Yet here they're all repulsive and yes? Well, that's an affront right there towards God. Right? Why not just call it what it is? Filthy people with filthy habits. Why pull animals into that? And all the foul idols of the house of Israel carved all around the walls. 70 elders of the house of Israel were worshipping the idols. Among them Jazaniah, son of Shaphan, each one with his censer in his hand, from which rose a fragrant cloud of incense. He said, Son of man, have you seen what the elders of the house of Israel do in the dark, each in his personal image shrine? They say, Yahweh cannot see us. Yahweh has abandoned the country. He said, You will see them at practices more loathsome still. He next took me to the entrance of the north gate of the temple of Yahweh, where women were sitting weeping for Tammuz. He said, Son of man, do you see that? You will see even more loathsome things than that. He then led me to the inner court of the temple of Yahweh, and there, at the entrance to Yahweh's sanctuary, between the portico and the altar, there was about 25 men with their backs to Yahweh's sanctuary and their faces turned towards the east. They were prostrating themselves to the east, before the rising sun. Whoa, that sounds interesting. Islam has made its way already in the Old Testament into the hearts of the people. He said to me, Son of man, do you see that? Is it not bad enough for the house of Judah to be doing the loathsome things they are doing here? But they will fill the country with violence and provoke my anger further. Ooh. Oh, this is very interesting when it comes to the split of religions. Look at them now putting that branch to their nostrils, and so I shall react in fury. I shall show neither pity nor mercy. They may cry as loudly as they like to me. I will not listen. That's the end of 8. My daughter just sent me a message, and I need to go over there. I'll take a couple of minutes. A story on how things can get turned around again for one's own desires and lust. I had a young member in our community, in our church, when I was still in California. And we got into talking in the church, and I tried to be some guidance to this young man. He seemed a bit confused. Very rough start as a child. He calls me one night and says, I'm at a strip club. I'm here to convert people. I said, really? I said, no, you're not. You're there because you want to see what's going on there. And you want to do more than see. I said, you need to get out of there right away. I said, you called me to give you permission. Oh yeah, you need to save all these souls in there. So you need to be there. You can't witness at a place like that. It's way too loud and noisy, and the people are so foul that there's no way you're going to penetrate in a place like that with goodness. It's not going to happen. I told him, I said, you need to get out of there. You're in the wrong place to do God's work. He didn't want to hear that. He wanted to hear me say, oh, wow, that's amazing that you take on a place like that, this and that. He was way too young for that to start with. He did not have the foundation of faith and the strength that it takes to be in a place like that and not be affected by the foulness that goes on in places like that. I told him, you need to get out. You're making an excuse to be there because you want to be there, because you want to see. And you will be affected very, very negatively. But what he wanted to hear is my support. Being in a place like that to witness about God. I had to take a stance and say, no, you're not getting that. Beware when people come to you for support in something that you full well know is not right for them. Then you take a stance and you say, no, I will not give you that support. You will not hear from me that's okay. Even if you make it sound as if you're actually doing something good. Because deep down, that is not the case. Yes? Again, you stay in your space. You stay firm with your foundation of faith. Yes? Anyway, that's it. That's all I have to share this morning. Got to go. Take care of little one. And, may Heavenly Parent bless and protect you, guide you, embrace you with love. Eldridge, my dearest brother in faith, let's make sure we stay in our own space. Yes? And let's keep praying. And I will talk to you all another time.